For the longest time, I thought I wanted love, a healthy relationship, money, and success. You know, the usual. Turns out that wasn't actually it. They were just the vehicles to attain something way deeper, way more primal, way more essential. So then I thought, it's happiness that I'm looking for, and freedom, and inner peace. And yet, turns out again, they're just superficial layers. So what I then found out eventually is that there is this inner state that is beyond emotions that we're all endlessly chasing. All of us, all humans, and animals, if you will, as well. It's a state inside, and we think it's happiness or freedom or love or money, but beneath it all is something else. And that one thing or feeling guides our entire life, all day, every day, from the moment you're born to the moment you die. It's part of our biological makeup, it's imprinted in our physiology, it's what makes us human and what keeps us alive. It's what decides how you behave in relationships, how successful you are in your business or your career, how stressed and anxious you feel on a day-to-day basis. And so what we are all chasing and seeking at any point in time is a state of safety inside. Sounds simple, but let me explain. Because truly understanding this changed my life, and my guess is it might impact yours as well. Now, before we get into it, if you're new here, my name is Conni Biesalski. I'm a somatic coach, a trauma practitioner, a breathwork and meditation teacher, and also a nervous system specialist. And on this channel, we explore the tools and strategies to help you recover from chronic stress, anxiety, and trauma. Uncertainty, not knowing, and lack of control are the most stressful to the human nervous system. The brain is hardwired to predict. Your autonomic nervous system is the foundation for your lived experience. It is always trying to figure out a way for you to survive. It's negotiating and navigating within this world at all times, even when you're asleep. And so it is constantly asking the big question. Am I safe? No matter what you're doing and where you are, this is the question, the three words that are always running in the background, which means your systems are always scanning to find an answer for it. And here's the thing, your nervous system doesn't actually want you to be happy. It wants you to be safe. And this state of safety is the foundation for health, for growth, for creating open and connected relationships, and for healing. The way it scans and listens for safety is beneath the level of your conscious awareness. This process is called neuroception. It's your nervous system's unconscious perception of whether something is safe, dangerous, or life-threatening. And all this is out of the control of our thinking brain. You can't think your way to safety. It's not possible. That's not how it works. Felt safety is when not just the mind agrees you're safe, but when your entire self, including your autonomic nervous system, experiences feeling safe. So we need cues of safety. They help shift the nervous system out of a state of defense, increasing your sense of connection and calm within. And we'll talk more about how to tap into these safety cues a little later. There is a cool theory that explains all of this. It's called polyvagal theory. It's also called the science of safety. Deb Dana also calls it the science of feeling safe enough to fall in love with life and take the risks of living. The polyvagal theory helps us understand that behaviors are automatic actions in service of survival. And you can picture this theory as a ladder. So when we find ourselves at the top of the ladder, called ventral vagal state, also known as the parasympathetic branch of the nervous system or rest and digest, we're essentially in safety mode. We feel connected to ourselves and the world, which is where things are awesome and all is well. Now, when we feel stressed or overwhelmed or anxious, we find ourselves in the middle of the ladder. And this is what's called sympathetic mode. That's when our nervous system perceives a lack of safety and then activates the gas pedal in your body, which activates and mobilizes energy within you, also known as fight or flight mode. If the situation at hand is life-threatening, though, we go even further down the ladder into dorsal. Our response here is freeze, dissociation, and shutdown. Now, all three of these responses evolve to maximize our chances of surviving life-threatening situations. The problem is that a chronic lack of perceived safety in your body leads to leaking energy due to being more in sympathetic mode, basically in activation stress mode, which uses up more than needed valuable resources and energy, which can then lead to all sorts of physical health problems. And many of us out there are chronically struggling in this way. We must be grounded in safety for progress to be made and to make change happen. As Kathy Kane, a renowned somatic trauma therapist, points out, safety and security are the underpinnings of resilience and are key in supporting the capacity for self-regulation. We need to be able to access a sense of safety to regulate ourselves. Knowing how to do this is the first step in resolving trauma and creating true, lasting growth and transformation. What's important to know is that our nervous system will prefer a familiar hell over an unfamiliar heaven. As I said, it doesn't want you to be happy, it wants you to be safe. And safe doesn't necessarily mean comfortable or happy, it means familiar. The problem with that is that it learned what is safe and what safe felt like roundabout by the age of 7, right? And since our nervous system is your subconscious, it keeps playing out this programming into adulthood and until we die, unless we reprogram it and we unlearn. So if this is the case, what kind of environment do you remember growing up? What was it like to be the child version of you? If familiar to you meant uncertainty, a turbulent environment, an anxious or stressful environment, then even though this may not be the kind of safe you consciously want, your subconscious will try to recreate this old version of safe because it's familiar. Familiar trumps what you might actually think of as safe. And so your nervous system tries to recreate the safety all the time, literally all the time, at work, at home, in relationships. And this is why you keep repeating the same patterns, even though you don't want to. It's also what Carl Jung described as repetition compulsion. So what does your nervous system define as safe for you? I recommend you dig back into those childhood memories and think deeply about how your experiences shaped you. Another reason your nervous system might struggle with perceiving safety could be that you experienced trauma in the past, let it be shock trauma, but also attachment wounding or developmental trauma. In this case, your brain and nervous system keeps running in survival mode, essentially with faulty neuroception, meaning it perceives danger where there is none. Trauma is like a lens through which we perceive the world, and this lens is tainted in threat and stress. Now, what does all this mean for you and your life? Well, so for example, if your nervous system is not perceiving making a lot of money to be safe, you might struggle your entire life with financial abundance. Or if your nervous system does not perceive it as safe to express yourself authentically, you will struggle to live up to your potential and fear sharing your voice with the world. A lack of safety is why it's difficult for you to make changes in your life or struggle to adapt to new healthy habits. And that's because your nervous system perceives anything new and unknown as unsafe and dangerous from what it knows. It's why you might be stuck in unhealthy, dramatic, or codependent relationships, and you keep going back to partners who are emotionally unavailable. It's why so many people struggle to start a business and follow their passions, even though they want to so bad, and even though they're deeply unhappy in their current life. It's the reason we self-sabotage, although I don't appreciate that word necessarily because it feels self and other shaming to me. But in essence, when we self-sabotage, we lack the capacity for change or newness. Simply put, it's why so many people stay stuck in their lives. Plus, a lack of safety is also why we suppress our emotions. They just don't feel safe enough to feel. And for many of us, constriction equals familiarity, equals safety, making it difficult to experience joy and expansion in the body. It's also why many people struggle to meditate or feel comfortable enough to relax. It's just not a state that ever felt safe growing up. So you see, a lack of safety in the body impacts all areas of our lives. Now, what actually does your nervous system need to feel safe? There are some basic foundations that are pretty much the same for all of us humans to experience a baseline of safety. And for this, I think it's useful to look at the hierarchy of needs by the psychologist Abraham Maslow. I would categorize most of the three lower levels to be essential: physiological needs, safety and security, as well as love and belonging to a certain degree. On the other hand, Gabor Mate offers another perspective and highlights that we have two primary needs by saying that we're born with a need for attachment and a need for authenticity. Attachment means our drive to connect with a caring other and our need to feel seen. And authenticity, or authentic expression, such as emotions, thoughts, ideas, which is our ability to acknowledge our emotions, interests, and act in a way that is truly who we are and aligns to our sense of meaning and purpose. The interesting thing is that we often face a conflict with these two needs. We have this evolutionary drive to survive, which competes with our deep longing to connect. And this means that we often sacrifice our authentic expression in order to stay connected. Many of us had to do this, especially as children growing up, because we were so dependent on our caretakers. And when we don't feel safe to connect or to feel and express our emotions, our nervous system suffers. Now, going back to the quote by Biesalski and Gabor Mate and the three factors that universally lead to stress, namely uncertainty, the lack of information, and the loss of control. All of these three cause a sense of threat in our nervous system. They can come from everyday life situations, such as being stuck in traffic or feeling a weird symptom in our body and not knowing what it is. Or they can come from chronic stressful situations, such as unstable relationships, struggling financially, maybe with your business, or maybe an ongoing health challenge. And I'd like to invite you to think about all the ways that you experience uncertainty or a lack of information or a loss of control in your life and how that might impact your way of being, of feeling, and thinking. Once I started seeing myself and others and the world through the lens of my need for safety, I was able to understand my behaviors and reactions in a whole new light. And beyond that, it helped me to cultivate a whole new level of compassion for myself, which was really necessary to stop shaming myself for my struggles. And lastly, with this new understanding, I could then figure out ways to support my nervous system and my body in feeling safe, which is a topic for an upcoming video in which I will share with you detailed tips and practices on how to create safety within yourself. In the meantime, you can also check out my course, Breathwork and Nervous System Foundations, in which I will teach you how to regulate your nervous system using the breath and somatic techniques to create safety in your body. The whole course is rooted in the latest research and science, and I will leave the link in the description below the video if you're interested to check it out. For now, I hope you gained a few new insights in this video. Let me know your thoughts and questions in the comments below, And with that, see you soon. Bye.